Hey guys, it's Paradise, and we finally got hands-on with the new MMO Chrono Odyssey thanks to Kakao Games for inviting us to the early closed beta test. This is one of those new games that has people seriously hyped. The trailers looked incredible, the combat seemed fluid, the world looked rich. It has people thinking this might be the next big MMO. Well, now we've played it, both solo and co-op, and we've got a lot to say. Since many of you may be trying it out in the upcoming closed beta test starting on June 20th, we wanted to give you the rundown of what to expect. There's some genuinely fun and cool things in here, but also some fundamental issues that really hold it back. For us, jumping into a new MMO is always super exciting. Chrono Odyssey started off with the officially revealed trailers and gameplay, which looked incredible. However, the execution, at least in what we got to play, wasn't exactly like what we saw in the trailers. This doesn't mean that it won't get there though. This was an early closed beta build of the game, but we can only talk about what we've experienced. Some people may be able to look over these surface level issues, but we always want to point out the good and bad with games, as some creators can get a little too excited and brush things under the rug. So we wanted to let you know what you're getting into. We'll also keep this spoiler free with early gameplay and trailers, so you don't have to worry about any spoilers if that's your thing. So let's break down what it gets right, where it struggles, and whether it's worth your time heading into the upcoming closed beta test, which you can sign up for. Let's start with the good, because honestly the combat is fun and it only gets better as you progress. The game will have a roster of 6 playable characters, each having access to 3 different weapons. The range of characters looks really good, from magic sorcerers to rangers, berserkers, and even paladins. However, in this beta we get access to 3 of the classes: the Berserker, the Ranger, and the Swordsman. Each of these has access to their 3 class weapon types, and you can equip 2 of these weapons at a time and switch between them mid-fight, which opens up a lot of variety and strategy. Each weapon has its own skill tree and active skills that you want to be switching between to access your new set of cooldowns mid-fight. You also have basic attacks, unique right-click actions that are different per weapon, and then a variety of active skills per weapon. There's dodging, timed attacks, and switching weapon sets that keeps combat feeling fresh, and each weapon levels independently, so in a way this has a lot of parallels to how New World handled things. Playing in co-op felt like the right way to go. Hopefully this isn't a surprise given it's an MMO. Luckily, quests and XP are shared, which is great. Some enemies were also pretty strong, so playing with others made it more efficient and manageable. But there were some bugs that made it frustrating too, like some quests only rewarding the player that did the final objective, and the party UI overlapping with the weapon controls in the top left, making for a cluttered screen. But this should be an easy fix for them. The classes and weapons all feel and play distinctly different, so we're excited to see what the magic classes will play like in contrast to what was available in the beta. That said, some enemies will give you a dramatically different experience depending on the class and weapons you bring. For example, the first major boss fight was brutal. On my ranger it dealt around 2/3 of my health per hit, meaning 2 mistakes and you're done. However, you have the advantage of range and dodging to keep a distance, so I cleared it pretty quickly. Meanwhile, for the swordsman, you generally want to focus on blocking and parrying, so you need to get a near perfect run because he still hits hard. This might be a tough challenge for less experienced action game or MMO players, so be prepared for some variance in the difficulty if you want to progress quickly. We recommend taking your time and trying everything out and leveling up a bit more before you go to that first chrono gate, or that boss is just no joke. Even so, teaming up to kill strong bounty targets or try out world bosses led to genuinely fun moments, and exploring together was nice too. Now, you may have heard of the time powers from our previous videos, and as you progress, you unlock new chrono powers, and while the early ones didn't shake things up too much, the summon ability would let you call on bosses that you've previously defeated to fight with you. There's even skill trees for these different chrono powers, and overall it's a very cool system, with some of the coolest powers unlocking later. Now let's talk about the world and exploring, because visually Chrono Odyssey has some standout moments. The Prometheus inspiration shows and looks amazing with floating alien ships, cool ruins, statues tucked into scenery, and more. When the game puts in effort, it shows and is impressive. But between these points, the world feels a bit bland, with some bad textures, generic terrain, and not much to interact with outside of the scattered points of interest. It's not terrible, but it's a clear step down from what was shown in the trailers. You can see here the character in the trailer walking through the world that looks amazing, and then here is how it looks walking through the world in-game. There is quite a difference. You will, however, run into a variety of different things like dynamic events, tougher mobs, towers to unlock parts of the world map, and those felt rewarding. Some bounties even gave you reward tokens to trade for accessories. This felt like a nice system with clear progression goals. But the world needs a bit more care between the high points and handcrafted points of interest. Outside of this, you have the crafting system. For some, crafting and gathering in MMOs is a chore, while for others it's what makes the game fun, and Chrono Odyssey has gone deep here. Think of New World's crafting system. There's a lot to it, from gathering plants and herbs with a sickle to make potions, to carving meat to cook meals or get leather, chopping trees and fishing and more. It's pretty much all there. It is time consuming and it does feel similar to other MMOs gathering systems, but that's probably what people want to enjoy exploring in the more relaxing aspects of these kind of games. On paper, Chrono Odyssey is ticking a lot of boxes for what people want out of an MMO. It has a large open world to explore, it has solid combat systems, there's lots of content to do, there's crafting to dive into, progression systems that feel rewarding, cool powers to unlock, dungeons, world bosses, and more. So there is a lot going for it, but it also needs a lot more polish and refinement to improve the fundamental issues that we experienced, as some of them are completely immersion breaking. So let's talk about performance, because this is where the wheels fall off a bit. Performance is a massive factor for a lot of players, especially for a large open world MMO game where you want things to be smooth and immersive. Well, we played on our high spec machines, think 4080 GPUs, i7s, NVMe SSDs, and still, we averaged around or lower 40 FPS on medium to high settings. Think of Monster Hunter Wild's performance, but worse. And if you try anything higher, it lowers you down to 20 to 30 FPS while exploring or in combat. That's not what you want in a fast-paced MMO with action combat. The thing is, you want to play on higher settings as well, like cinematic. This is literally the setting that makes the game look good. So if you want visuals, you have to deal with 20 to 30 frames. The difference in visual quality is very stark from high to cinematic, and the performance impact shows. Hopefully this is something they can fix and improve. Crashes were also frequent, pop-in was everywhere, and some NPCs would just float in place. You could walk right through them like they were some kind of ghost. Worst of all, other player animations ran at what looked like 10 FPS, so think of Spider-Verse animations but in the rest of a normal world. Furthermore, some general animations like running through the world need some serious improvements. For example, just look at our character running to a nearby village. It looks lifeless and honestly it's actually funny to watch. So I'm hoping the animations, both local and that of other players, will see major improvements. It totally breaks the immersion, so this and the performance is a big factor that needs focusing on and optimizing. Despite all of that though, we do see potential here. The combat's got depth, the weapon switching is fun, and the aesthetic has its moments. But it doesn't really play or look like what was shown in the original trailers, at least not yet. It needs time to cook. We've seen a lot of content creators really enjoying their time with the game and providing feedback, so we expect others may focus mostly on parts of the game that worked well. But for us, we know the quality that you guys expect from a game isn't quite there yet, so we wanted to convey this to you without just talking about what we enjoyed. It's fair to point out though, this is actually a real and proper game that functions. Many people were wondering if it was even real at all when they saw the gameplay and trailers. So while it does need time to be polished and improved, it is a real game and they are coming along with it. Hopefully the build that we played is just a step behind what you'll experience in the test coming up on June 20th if you're signed up. Because if not, you should expect rough performance, janky animations, and a game that needs serious polish, but has depth, fun systems, and potential. If you are curious, try it out when the next test drops. See how it runs on your system, see if the combat clicks for you. It's not a lost cause by any means, but it's definitely not ready for a public release, at least not yet. But do tell us your thoughts below and if you're going to play the upcoming closed beta test. So what do you think about all of this? Tell us down below. Here at Arekkz Gaming, we're two friends who love to play games. You have me, Paradise, as well as 26.
Our goal is to keep the videos as concise as possible by cutting out any of the fluff and focusing on what really matters with high quality videos.
So make sure you're subscribed down below for more videos on your favorite games coming very, very soon.